What's going on, folks? My name's Josh. You can call me Anorian, and it's time for another Anor of Convallaria video. And today, now that it's been announced on socials, I can show you Simona, the next big character coming to Sword of Convallaria. Is she amazing? Is she worth pulling? Should you grab her? Let's go over all of it. Because now that she's been announced, I can tell you, the character following Edda in terms of debut character banner is Simona, who is part of the Night Union. I have access to the test server, so I've already been able to pull her, show off her build, show off her stats, show off things like that. So we're going to go over everything and discuss, do you need to grab her? I think Simona has a lot of awesome benefits. For a number of players, she's going to be someone you want to pull, but not for everybody. So let's go ahead and dive in. So we've got Simona pulled up over here already, as I've been. At the time of this video, I like experimenting around level 45. I feel like that's an area where a lot of people are going to get to before the grind becomes really, really time-consuming. So it's just one of those things where, like, this is where we can really start getting an idea of what the characters basically do. Simona is known as the Ice Knight. Okay? She is a Watcher, standard, 3-move, 2-jump. I'm going to always mention that just in case someone has it different. Simona is rare in that even though she is part of the Knights Union, she's actually a magic-based character, which does not apply to all of them. In fact, it mostly just applies to her. But, as you can see, she is a part of the Union, so you've got your boy Tidon, you got Gloria, you got all of them, as well as several excellent epics like Tempest and Ballista and the like. She's also part of the Discipline category. So if you happen to be building a discipline team, she's on there. If you're using Leonide, for instance, who's got the leadership aura, she does pair nicely there. She is a Watcher, as per usual. As far as her trait goes, her trait is known as Winter is Coming. Increase her attack and defense by 5%. I will note that's a little weird because she's actually a magic attacker. I'm not sure if that is attack and defense like attack up as a stat, or if it actually applies to her magic attack. Like, I don't really have a way to test that, since there's no way to turn it off. But it increases her attack and defense by 5%. The defense is 5% is useful no matter what. At the start of the turn, she gets Armor of Ice, cooldown of 2 turns. Armor of Ice gives her a physical shield equal to 60% of her magic attack, and immunity to frosty tile effects. After she's hit by a melee attack, she inflicts move down 1 on the attacker for 2 turns automatically. There is a lot there. So basically, at the start of the battle, she's going to have a shield of 60% of her magic attack, which her magic attack is going to be her dominant attacking stat. And then, after every 2 turns, essentially, worth of it being broken down, she's going to reset that sucker. As well, she's immune to the effects of frosty tiles while the shield is up, and enemies who hit her in melee have their movement decreased. All as one thing. You get that up to 2 stars, and now her bonus from attack and defense goes to 10%. Get that up to 3 stars, the 10% is still there. Also, if she is dying after being attacked, so they have to chew through that shield and get her down to 30% or lower health, she immediately gains Armor of Ice again. So if they get her in that 30% to nothing sweet spot, she'll just quickly punch up a shield once per battle. Very, very useful. Getting to star level 4, attack and defense goes up to 15%, and getting to star level 5, while she has a shield up, she gains an additional 10% attack and defense, and she becomes immune to attribute debuffs, like of any kind. Attack down, defense down, magic defense down. Don't matter. If you're trying to lower her stats, or anything along those lines, it just doesn't work while she has a shield up. I would say that the breakpoints as far as her skill goes, obviously she comes at 1. Definitely try and get her to 3, because then she gets the benefit of the quick super shield if she's dying. And then other than that, if you are going to upgrade her, take her up to star level 5, because the extra 5% attack and defense from level 4 is not really worth it. It's either 3 or 5. Definitely take her to at least 3 though, because it's worth it for the amount of effort put in. As far as her stats go, like I said, as you can see, she's definitely got a magic attack slant, so you're definitely going to want to go there. Her basic attack is Energy Wave, 80% magic damage, and her basic spell is... Ice Lance. Single target attack, range 1 to 2, 130% damage, and it inflicts speed down 1 and move down 1 for 2 turns. Both very, very useful, making it so an enemy could possibly be pushed further back in the turn order and lower their movement is very useful stuff. Nothing particularly crazy. Where we get good with her is in her skill tree. right? So let's go through. At rank 1, you can go with either Icy Blast or Ice Cone. I am a huge proponent of Icy Blast. Icy Blast hits the, 3x2 square in front of her in any given direction, dealing 75% damage to the enemies in there, and inflicting speed down 1 and move down 1, and knocks them back by 2 spaces. That's a lot. It's basically like a juiced up version of her Ice Lance in an AoE format. Very useful. Ice Cone is a ranged cross-shape AoE, deals 80% damage to all enemies in that area. It's useful, don't misunderstand me. AoEs at range are always great. I just feel like there's just so much utility in Icy Blast, you've gotta go with that. Rank 3 provides her with Icy Assault or Ice Made Armor. Icy Assault is an offensive move. Icy Armor is something I go with and that I feel makes her stand out. So Icy Assault is a dash. Weirdly, the space next to her in any given one of the directions can't be dashed to. She either has to go to 2 or 3 tiles out. She charges along there. She deals ice damage equal to 100% of her physical shield value that's up to enemies along the way, and she gains Warrior of Frost for 2 turns, which reduces the damage she takes and increases her movement. It's a really cool skill. I just don't feel it's as good as Ice Made Armor. Ice Made Armor is why she stands out as almost a sort of a red mage of sorts, despite all of it being ice and blue, in that she has support capabilities beyond just damage. What Ice Made Armor does is in a 3x4 area in front of her in any direction, all allies within that gain Armor of Ice, just like she gets, and regeneration for 2 turns. So they get the 60% shield, 60% of her M attack shield, immunity to frost tiles, any enemy who hits them with melee attacks, their movement goes down, and for 2 turns, they recover 10% of their HP at the end of the turn. And if she already has Armor of Ice, this only costs 1 energy. It's got a 4-turn cooldown, but 1 energy. And I should add, if you're pairing her with Leonide and his leadership aura, that's a 3-turn cooldown. That is an excellent move. Giving multiple team members a big physical shield is genuinely excellent. I don't know if any other character can actually do that. So, that's super useful. At rank 5, she has Ice Shards or Protective Ice. Ice Shards is, if her Armor of Ice gets destroyed, she deals 50% magic damage to all enemies within 2 tiles of her, and inflicts move down 3 on them. That lowers movement by 3 tiles. For most enemies, that means they can't move, if they're not Seekers. Protection of Ice is what I went with. It's whenever you're hit with an active attack from an enemy with their movement down, which is a lot of the enemies that get anywhere within a country mile of her, she decreases the damage she takes. Piling that on top of her shield, I think, is the better decision. Your mileage may vary. At rank 7, she has Flash Freezing and Battle Flag of the Union. Battle Flag of the Union is good if you want to build Union, but you do not have Gloria yet. If you do have Gloria, this is a wasted skill, do not get it, because it's just the weak benefit. It's the weak leader aura. 10% attack, 20% defense, that's it. Gloria's has that, plus additional effects, and they don't stack, as I've explained before. So, if you're gonna build Union, that's fine. Do not go for that skill. Flash Freezing is her other ability. It's a single target attack, it deals 80% damage, and inflicts move down 3 for 2 turns. Again, that locks all but Seekers or things with movement boosts in place. If they have moved down already, it freezes them for 2 turns, which just is basically they're locked in place. They can't do anything. I very obviously went with Flash Freezing. I think that's great. Rank 9, she has 2 very good basic attack replacements. They're just also wildly different. One is Ice Made Sword. Her singular target attack, remember her basic is Energy Wave, just a ranged shot for 80%. With this, she deals 110% damage. If she is attacking enemies who already have moved down or who are on frosty tiles, she deals 140% damage total. That's excellent. However, it locks her to melee range. Flip side, Ice Attack keeps her 80% damage, and on any healthy enemy, gives them move down 1. Because of how that stacks with things like Protection of Ice, because of how that stacks with things like Flash Freezing, I decided to go with that, plus I still wanted her to have the ranged attack. You do you, but that's where I landed with it. And lastly, at rank 11, she has Winter Doomsday or Will to Survive. Will to Survive, if she's dying at the start of the turn, she recovers 50% HP and 2 energy. Do remember she also has her trait if she gets it built up to where she'll go into dying, she'll get that shield. So if you go with Will to Survive, it's basically like a I don't want her to die once per battle button. Because if an enemy knocks her down to, say, 25% health, well, she quickly gets a 60% shield, and then her turn rolls back around and she goes up to 75% health. It's a really good thing. I would probably not go with it because Winter Doomsday is a massive AoE, dealing 70% ice damage to all enemies in a 5x3 area with like a good bit of selectable area to it. She also summons an ice wall in the center 3 tiles. So like basically it's this, the one you target, and the 2 directly to the left and right of it. If a tile is occupied by a character or an enemy in that ice wall, she freezes them. It is a banger of a move. It is really, really strong. And I feel like that's probably what you go with at rank 11. But again, if you want to go with the defensive option, nothing wrong with that. Simona is, like I said, she's this weird sort of hybrid red mage who plays in Union, and Union doesn't exactly got a lot of that. Their only other real option is like Flare, who is not a red mage, she just heals when she punches things. So like, she is one. If you're building Union, please, come on now. Realistically, as far as the ranks go for your pulling and everything, I would say if you're building Union, Simona's a 10 out of 10. She is a 10 out of 10. She is an excellent support damage dealer with some ranged options. She's got some crowd control going on. She's got team support as far as providing armor to the whole team, which allows her to give you a weird sort of sustain without necessarily needing a healer, but she can assist even on top of a healer. Like, Union, she's a 10 out of 10. If you happen to be building Discipline, I don't know if anyone is, but if you happen to be building Discipline, she's a 10 out of 10. Like, she is going to partner excellently with characters like Leonide. Leonide's whole thing is about sticking and moving, so making the enemies less mobile, while he has a natural ability to be able to stick and move, hit them, and then dart out. Excellent combination just by default. Same thing with Miguel's ability to just boot people around and things like that. Like, she plays so well. If you're building Union or Discipline, 10 out of 10 character. If you're building neither of those, here's where it gets wonky. I would say as just a general pull, she's probably an 8 out of 10. I think she is something worth considering. I think she has a lot of really unique benefits. I also think there are a lot of really, really strong watchers in the meta right now. Excuse me. Characters like Gloria, characters like Inanna, characters like Edda. And yes, you can always have multiples of the same role at a time, but the more you do, the harder it is to rank them up, getting materials and things like that, and the more you leave yourself susceptible. Now, Watcher does have the advantage that it's the only one that doesn't have a weakness, but you also have fewer things you can hit with a strength, right? But it doesn't have a weakness. So if you're gonna multi-up on any role, Watcher's one to do it. So that's why I said 8 out of 10. She's worth considering. If you look at her and you're like, oh, she looks so cool, I've gotta have her, go for it. Doesn't matter if she's in build, which you should always just go for it, but regardless of the meta, she's a good character. She does cool stuff. It's just, I think she gets the most benefit in her groups, in her alliances. But she does things that you can't necessarily really replicate. It's just a question of how useful is it. Edda's ability, for instance, to lower magic defense in a huge area by 40% is usable by literally everyone who uses magic damage dealing. A physical shield is awesome, but if it's not necessarily, you would have to position around it, and so it's not as useful. It's still incredibly useful. I hope I make my point across. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna pull for Simona. I'm planning on building Union. I already have Gloria. I want to get teed on at some point. I want to build Union. I think they look really cool. So I'm gonna pull for Simona for sure. I don't know if I'll get her. We'll see. I might do a short where we see how many pulls it takes, but I will let you know. But I'm gonna go for her. But I don't think that she is an infallible character. So I would say 8 out of 10 for the average person. But as per usual, please let me know. Are you pulling for Simona? Are you interested in Simona? Do you like Simona? Do you have a history with Simona? Did you go to 3rd grade with Simona? What do you know about Simona? Fill me in. Let me know. I'm not good at outros, am I? Anyways, you know the deal. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscribe. Follow me on socials, all that good stuff. And as per usual, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all. Till next time. I'll catch you later, fam. All right.